Hiya! Welcome! This is Minidisc Monday number 74, and what's more, it's edition number 2 of the mini-series running all throughout August, Women's Month, here on the channel. So we're looking at 5 albums all across every Monday this month from 5 female acts or artists, and in week number 2 I've chosen one of the biggest albums of the 1990s. This is Alanis Morissette's Jagged Little Pill.
Mr. Play It Safe was afraid to fly. He packed his suitcase and kissed his kids goodbye. He waited his whole damn life to take that flight, and as the plane crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice? And isn't it ironic? Don't you think? It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride when you've already paid. It's the credit price that you just didn't take. Who would have thought it figures? Life is a funny way, sneaking up on you when you think everything's okay. Everything's going right.
So this album came out kind of mid to late 1995, I think, a bit of a slow burner, as it only really started getting traction in the United States when certain tracks, certain singles were being played on kind of influential rock radio stations in Los Angeles. Alanis Morissette from Canada, she'd moved to LA prior to making this album. And what was interesting to me, and I never even realised this throughout all the years that I've known this album, because I did used to have this on CD back in probably a couple of years or so after it originally came out. This is actually Alanis's 3rd studio album. She'd released 2 dance pop sort of albums prior to this in the 1990s that were only released in Canada. But this one was her first worldwide release, and Jagged Little Pill is a very well-liked and well-remembered album, and I'm sure still remains kind of the high point for a lot of people with Alanis Morissette's career. So before I tell you my thoughts on Jagged Little Pill, let's have a look at the contents. The case has a couple of nasty scratches on the front there, or crack really, rather than a scratch there at the bottom, the big one. But the case is holding well together. Now then, the insert, and I nearly called it a booklet, but it literally is not a booklet. That is it. It's just this piece of glossy card. I mean, we do have the production stuff to an extent on the back. It is what it is. The disc, album artwork is stuck on that side. Then flip it over and round. We've got the track listing. What logos have we got there? Maverick and Reprise Records, I think, and also some boring legal info too. So as I said, I did used to own this album back when it was more a contemporaneous release. I picked up the mini disc, can't remember how much for, as is the case with the vast majority of my MD collection, maybe around 10 years ago, give or take. And I was very happy to get this album back into my collection. This is the first time I've listened to it today as I'm recording this in a long time, and we'll go through it. So it starts with track number 1, All I Really Want. That was the 6th and final single from this album, at least here in the UK and possibly many other worldwide territories as well. Didn't make the top 40. I think by that point, I can't remember when that single came out. It could have been as late as 98, to be honest, even though this album was from 95. But I think maybe there's a little bit of Jagged Little Pill fatigue, really, regarding the singles. I mean, 6 is a lot to release from one album as it is. That is half the tracks on here. But it was a good single, that. A good song and a decent opener. Number 2 is what I think may have been her breakout track, at least in the United States, and that's You Ought to Know. Another single, debut single, I think, although you will have seen the order in which the singles were released earlier on over the clip there. I always was a bit in two minds about You Ought to Know. I thought it was a little bit weak compared to some of the other songs that are on here, really. It's not bad, and I can see why it was a big radio hit and one of her signature songs, but not for me particularly. Number 3 is Perfect. Quite a nice sort of lower tempo, gentler track there. This album, Jagged Little Pill, I've not heard any of Alanis Morissette's 90s dance pop era. I think those albums are pretty rare and they certainly haven't been reissued in any notable form. So presumably Jagged Little Pill is really a massive departure. You would rightly assume, I think. When she moved to LA, she hooked up with Glenn Ballard, a prominent producer and writer who produced this album and co-wrote the music. I think all the lyrics are purely Alanis Morissette's own though. Number 4, Hand in My Pocket. Another good song and another single, always like that. Track 5, Right Through You. Track 6 is Forgiven. That was sort of a lament from Morissette on her Catholic upbringing, so a little bit downbeat there, but fits well with the album. A lot of angsty lyrics here. I know one of the genres that this was classed as when I was looking up my research on Wikipedia was post-grunge. Certainly post-rock, alternative rock, but I think Glenn Ballard really was essential for this album and for the success it had, just to give it that kind of nice pop sort of sheen to it really. Otherwise, Jagged Little Pill may have fallen at the first hurdle, really. Number 7, You Learn. Yet another single and another very good one. Nothing really to say about it in particular, but I do like that, always have. Number 8, my favourite track on the album and my favourite single, Head Over Feet. Fantastic track, that. There's some great harmonica in it, some fantastic guitar. I like that there's kind of a James Brown funky drummer style drum riff going throughout the track in most places. Head Over Feet is an album highlight for me. Always really enjoyed that. Number 9 is Mary Jane. You'd think it'd be an ode to Rastafarian woodbines really, but no, that is actually a third-person, third-party perspective song about a woman or a girl with mental health issues. There again, sort of very gritty and, you know, not exactly cheerful, but not a bad song, certainly. Number 10 is, I would say, arguably Alanis Morissette's most well-remembered single, Ironic. I've always liked that. I don't think it's as strong as Head Over Feet, or maybe even All I Really Want and Hand in My Pocket, really, but Ironic, it kind of caught the zeitgeist, didn't it? I always assumed that made the top 10 here in the UK, but I think it just missed the top 10. To say there was 6 singles from this, the only one that did get to the top 10 was the 5th single, the excellent Head Over Feet. Ironic doesn't really need any more comment from me, you all know it, and you either like it or you don't, really. Track 11 is Not the Doctor, and it finishes with Wake Up. Couple of decent, without absolutely blowing me away, pop rock, alternative pop rock tracks. And we have the ubiquitous 1990s style hidden track if you skim along through the end of track 12. It's an a cappella song, I think it's called Your House, and it's very haunting. It's got some nice reverb effects on Alanis's voice and no other instrumentation. What do I think of Jagged Little Pill? I like it. I can't say I love it. I don't think I ever did, really. I never thought, oh wow, this deserves the massive amount of hype it was getting in 95, 96, 97. And it's never really made me want to discover and purchase any more of Alanis's work. I mean, never say never. If I saw an album of hers going for a really good price, I would certainly take a punt on it. And I did enjoy this album, listening to it again today. Just under an hour long, even with the hidden track, so it kind of breezes by, really. And it was a deserved bubbling under, suddenly becoming a smash hit in the mid-90s. It is a pretty strong recommendation from me. It's never going to be my favourite album of all time, but it's a very good one and certainly worthy of inclusion in Women's Month here on Minidisc Monday. So that was Jagged Little Pill by Canada's own Alanis Morissette. We are back next week, of course, and your clue is we've got another Canadian singer for episode 3 of Women's Month. So put your thinking caps on. But thank you all for watching this today, and I want to give special thanks to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now, and please join me again in just 7 days' time as we take a look at a third album from one of the female greats of the music industry, although your mileage may vary, here for Women's Month on Minidisc Monday. Cheers, everyone. See ya!